Welcome to this week's episode of Chat with Nat, Conversations That Count. This is the podcast where real conversations meet real life. I'm your host, Natalie Keim, an entrepreneur, financial professional, caregiver, and advocate for living fully. This show dives into the stories and strategies that shape who we are and how we thrive. Listen, y'all, give me some grace on my voice this week. If you can't tell, it's a little deeper than normal. It's a bit scratchy. I am coming off of an event weekend for my company where I got to meet with over 200 agents here locally in Dallas. I spoke, I emceed yesterday, and I left all my energy in that hotel, spending every moment I could having conversations with my amazing business partners. And today my voice is like, look, this is what you got. So bear with me while we jump into this week's episode, but I'm extremely excited this week to talk about fun. One of the pillars, one of the 5 F's that's so important to help create harmony in our lives that can be full of hustle and bustle, stress and overwhelm. Y'all, fun isn't a luxury. It's fuel. And without it, we burn out, disengage, and we miss out on joy. You know, this weekend, as I mentioned, I was with so many of my business partners. And last night we were sitting around in the lobby. Well, not the lobby of this hotel. It has a huge center atrium that's beautiful. It has a fountain, tons of sitting areas. There's a restaurant and bar to the side. Just a really great atmosphere for people to spread out at the end of an event and just spend time connecting with one another beyond just the event itself. And I had so much fun sitting there talking to some of my team members and some of my business partners. And I've got one team member who is just an amazing ton of fun. Actually, not a team member. I'm sorry, a business partner of mine who is a ton of fun. His name is Tim Parnell. He's been on my podcast previously, and I'm sure he will be again before too long. But Tim and I have such a similar sense of humor. And we were sitting there just talking with everybody, and I looked over and he was giving me this weird look. And I just made a crazy comment to him, and we both literally just doubled over gut laughing. Like, have you ever had those moments where you're just hanging out with a group of people, but you and one person just make a connection? And look, it wasn't anything that funny. He actually misunderstood what I said. And so he started laughing hysterically, which caused me to start laughing hysterically. And why am I giving you that example? Because for me, gosh, there was so much joy in that moment that didn't cost a penny. That literally was just a moment in time. It wasn't a day spent or hours spent. It was a moment where we connected over what we found out a few minutes later was a complete misunderstanding. And we were doubled over in laughter with everybody. There was probably a couple of dozen people standing and sitting around us talking, and they were looking at us like we'd completely lost our minds. And to be honest with you, we probably did, for sure. But you guys, that is absolutely spontaneous joy at its best. And I hope that there are moments for each and every one of you that you can think of as you hear me tell that story that just put a smile on your face, because they were exactly that. A brief moment in time that just filled you with laughter, filled you with happiness. And that's it. That's all it was based on. Before I get into the rest of this episode on fun, y'all, I want to make sure I give you the money tip for the week, which is budget for fun. Create a fun fund for yourself. Treat fun like a bill. Have it as a line item in your budget. And even if it's only $25 or $50 per week, set that aside and use it to create memorable experiences. I remember as a single mom, when money was tight for a few years for my son and I, with just a few dollars, I could find amazing things to do. There are so many places, and I know Groupon's still around. Even on Facebook and social media, you can look up events in your area that might even be free or just a few dollars to go and spend some quality time with the people you care about, with a good friend, with your child. Like I used to do, we would find ways inexpensively to create memories And most importantly, just spend time together. It doesn't have to be big and audacious, but it is necessary to carve out time for fun and carve out money in a fund that allows you to do some things that do cost a little bit. Or if there's something big that's fun that you want to do, setting aside that $20 to $50 per week can bring that experience to life within just a couple of months sometimes. People who spend money on experiences instead of material items report 57% higher satisfaction with life. And that's according to a Cornell University study. Create a fun envelope even. It can even be a little digital card where you just deposit that money and it's able to track it for you. Or pulling out that envelope, if you're saving for something fun to do with your kids, you can sit and count it together every week as you're working towards that goal you need to go do that fun thing. The anticipation of fun can increase a person's happiness up to 50% before the event even happens. Think about it. You've got a vacation coming up, or lunch with a friend you haven't seen in a while. Aren't you always a little excited as you're getting ready to go to that event or that lunch, or maybe the week of? You're just looking forward to it so much. It's filling you with so much joy that the world around you and the impact it can have sometimes just falls away. And you're just focused on getting to the point where you can enjoy that moment, that activity, time with that person. So I want you guys to think about that. Start that fun fund however you need to, but make sure that you put it in your budget. All right, let's jump back into this week's episode and let's talk about fun when it comes to our health. Fun actually reduces stress hormones. Laughter lowers cortisol and boosts endorphins. Laughter can increase pain tolerance by 10 to 15%, according to an Oxford University. And playful adults report higher overall well-being and lower levels of depression. I think specifically about, in the last 5 years, what's something really big that stands out? COVID. When we were all stuck at home, and depending on where you live, the period of time that you were stuck at home or maybe isolated from the world outside might have been longer for some than others. And if you had a family, you still had people around you and ways probably to pass the time and things you could do fun within your home or your yard. For me, I was an empty nester, unmarried, single at the time. My son was in the military, right? So like I said, I'm an empty nester and it's just me and my dog. COVID hit just a handful of days before my birthday. And so I literally, if any of y'all follow me on Facebook, you can go back to March of 2020 and find the video I posted on my birthday, March 20th. And I made a birthday hat out of a roll of toilet paper and a ponytail on top of my head with my ponytail coming out the top of the roll of toilet paper. And I sang myself happy birthday live on video. That's what I did for my birthday. And I had so much stinking fun doing it. The really great thing too was even though we couldn't be around each other, I had some amazing friends who dropped some things off on my doorstep for my birthday. And so it was like I got that touch of being with them, even though I actually wasn't physically in their presence. I want you guys to think about athletes. They use games, music, humor in training to release pressure. How in your life do you do that? I already mentioned that my business partner and I last night had this moment of just absolute laughter. And we were tired, y'all. He and I, his wife, and a handful of our other business partners were on the planning committee. We're part of the leadership team in our organization. And we have spent weeks, months planning this event. And we were go from noon on Friday until about midnight last night for this event. So this was probably 10:30 last night, 11. We were literally slap happy. Even his wife was looking at us like, what is going on? Those little moments can make all the difference to shift your mindset, to relieve the pressure. As I mentioned, even increase your pain tolerance depending what's going on. A lot of times people are like, why would you laugh in such a weird moment over who knows what? There's a million examples out there, but they think, why is laughter something that's coming into the picture right now? Even when people are nervous, they might laugh. It's relieving that pressure, that overwhelm. It's just lightening that moment just a little bit. So I want you guys to think, that's my challenge for you in this category. Think of a silly or playful moment that you had recently, whether it was dancing in the kitchen, singing badly at the top of your lungs in your car or in the shower, playing tag with your kids or grandkids. And I want you to remember what it felt like having that moment or that experience. And then I want you to think of a way that you can do something fun like that this week and work it into your schedule. Just a moment, not an hour, not a day, just a little blip of time to bring you some additional joy, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed, nervous, whatever might be going on. This second piece about fun I want to talk about is relationships. Y'all, shared fun equals stronger bonds. Couples who do novel, fun activities together report 30% more satisfaction in their relationships. And that's from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. So probably a pretty good source. But listen, I know over the years throughout life, I've had so many people and I've listened to so many people talk in different situations that say you have to continue dating after you're married, but continue dating while you're dating too. Because my boyfriend and I, we've been together 3.5 years. And one of the things I think this year we've realized is we're not planning dates, even if it's just to go upstairs to the movie room and watch a movie, just the two of us with a bowl of popcorn once in a while. But we have realized that even though we're still dating, we're so comfortable in the day-to-day that we forget to take that time away for just the two of us. And y'all, last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I was at a women's retreat and my boyfriend wrote me an amazing letter. And in that letter, he asked me to take off 1 weekend a month so that we could have one-on-one time. Go do something. It doesn't have to be the whole weekend, like not a staycation or whatever, but just block everything out for just he and I for a little bit of time. And so last Saturday I did that. And we went to the farmer's market and we picked up a few things. My favorite thing we got was a pink pineapple. If you've never tried those or if you've never heard of them, if you can find one, try them. They're not super, super sweet like a yellow pineapple, but they're really, really good. That was my favorite thing we got at the farmer's market. And then we went from there to an area here in the North DFW area called Grandscape. And they have this gigantic Ferris wheel. And all of the Ferris wheel carts or whatever are like these little pods. And so it closes tight. It has air conditioning. This Ferris wheel, y'all, was built, I don't even know how many years ago. I would say probably at least 8 to 10 years ago. And I know my son was probably in middle school or high school when it was built. And we used to say, hey, sometime we should go ride that, and never have. So we got there and I looked at my boyfriend. I'm like, I want to ride the Ferris wheel. He's like, okay, let's go check it out. And we paid $20 each. And it is a giant Ferris wheel. And it just takes you up over the area we live in. And we just got to kind of a different perspective. But at the same time that we're getting a different perspective of the area we live in, I think it gave us just a little bit of a different perspective of each other, feeling like little kids again, super excited, not sure what to think. It's the biggest Ferris wheel I've ever been on. And it was a ton of fun. And then we just walked through the shopping area, checked out some of the activity things they have. They have mini golf. They have, what's it called? Cosm, which is this huge indoor place you can go watch movies, sporting games, things like that. We checked out the little Tiger Woods putt that they have. We went in the candy shop and got some candies and just held hands and walked through there and talked. Took a few pictures by the pumpkins before we left. But that was a lot of fun. And we hadn't just carved out time for us that way in a while. So I want to challenge you guys to think about, how can you make sure that you're incorporating fun in your relationship? It can even be relationships, not necessarily couples, but within a family or with a friend. You know, kids who play games with their parents show better communication and trust. Family traditions or playful rituals are remembered long after serious conversations fade. You know, my sister-in-law's family has always celebrated Christmas together on Christmas Eve, and they play games. And there have been a couple of times that since my parents have lived with me, we've gone there at the holidays and we participated in that. And every family comes up with a fun little game, and there's prizes or maybe a way to win a few dollars or something. But all the kids, all the adults, all the grandparents participate, and it's so much fun. And I have videos of that. And I only participated in it a couple of times in my life, but it's something they do every single year. Think about that as you're celebrating the holidays and closing down one year, to spend that time making memories, laughing, and just having a great time with the people that mean the most to you. How could those not be core memories we carry with us throughout life? Think about maybe a road trip sing-along or a spontaneous date night like my boyfriend and I had last weekend. Just the ways those things can deepen a relationship. I remember growing up, we would go on Sunday drives, my brother and I and my mom and dad. And of course, my brother and I would be arguing in the back, and my dad would be like, "Do I need to pull this car over? Don't make me come back there." You know, the whole thing. But we would drive up the canyons in Utah and we would sing, "She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes," and a million other road trip songs. And we'd play the license plate game or the alphabet game off the street signs, whatever just came to mind. And the only thing it cost was maybe half a tank or a tank of gas. So my tip on this one, y'all, schedule the micro fun. Even if it's just 15 minutes of fun that builds a connection. Go run a race against your kids. Go jump on the trampoline with them. Hold their hand and take a walk around the neighborhood. With your spouse, go get an ice cream cone together. Something small, something fun, but something that can make solid memories. All right, this third section about fun is going to revolve around your finances. And I know you're like, how in the world can finances be fun? People who take breaks for fun activities show a 12% productivity boost, according to the University of Warwick. Now, I already talked about creating a fund. That's what I'm talking about here, is creating within your finances the ability to do some of those fun things that do cost money. Even in your businesses, if you're a business owner, build in ways to create fun at work for yourself and your employees. I remember throughout corporate America, there were different things that all the different companies I had did for fun. I know my boyfriend's company, they go to the state fair together. He and his coworkers go to the state fair together every year. They just take a day, they go walk around, they taste all the crazy food, buy a few funny things, maybe play a few games, but it's that team building thing for them. When I was a brand new manager at 29 years old in corporate America, my counterpart, we had two departments that worked closely together. We were the managers of, and so my counterpart and I would come up with fun challenges for our team. And this was back when, oh my gosh, I can't even think of the show right now. Survivor had just come out. It was maybe the first or couple of seasons of Survivor had happened. So we did a Survivor game one month, and there were challenges that we tracked through our activity, our work that we did, that gave different rewards and things to people. And at the end, the team who won, we would take them out to lunch or to a movie, or we asked our team, we polled our team, what things motivate you? And sometimes it was a gift card, it was something monetary, and sometimes it was a fun activity we could go do together. Companies like Google design a playful office environment to spark creativity. What are some of the fun hobbies you can go do? You know, another thing during my career we did is, as a management, we had it was a big part of JCPenney, their shared services center in Utah. And we probably had, I don't know, 25, 35 different managers in this building. And every week from spring to fall, they would reserve 2 tee times somewhere at a golf course. And so the first 8 people that RSVP'd would go. And we all paid our own way for our golf, but we got to leave work a little bit early and we went and played around a golf together. Number one, that is how I learned to golf, which if you're in a professional career, corporate career, sales career, one of the things my first boss told me is you need to go to those because you will find throughout your career that some of the biggest deals you ever make are on a golf course or a tennis course. So either tennis course, whatever. Either learn to play tennis or learn to play golf. And when I was a kid, I tried to learn to play tennis and it was a hot mess. So I picked golf. And it's true that I've built so many amazing professional partnership relationships on the golf course while having a good time, even when we were talking about things that maybe weren't the most fun. And so think about the ways that you can tie people's hobbies into work, right? Because our work is what creates our financial ability to live, to save, to do all the other things that I help people do through the work that I do. You can even plan a fun photography session for fall. Throw some pumpkins and bales of hay together outside your office, or even outside your home in front, and invite all of your neighbors to come by and take some fun fall pictures. Let your employees bring their families to come take some fun pictures. There's a million different things you can do. And even YouTube channels, y'all, started from playful passions that people had. So lean into that. Fun makes financial discipline sustainable. You're more likely to stick to a budget if there's fun built into it. So make sure, oh my gosh, how many, excuse me, how many times in life I can think of that my finances were absolutely the opposite of fun. But the times I did build in just a few dollars here to plan for things or to do something, it made all the difference in the world. Because within that overwhelm of when you're trying to pay off debt, you're trying to save, you're trying to cover all the kids' expenses, whatever it might be, there's this little light that shines from that line item that is your fun fund. So make sure that somehow you tie that in. And even if you got to find a fun way to update and do your budget, y'all, I tell people all the time, get your favorite drink, sit down. It's a 30-minute exercise, especially if you have a partner. This is not time to talk about how they spent or you spent or whatever. It's time to get on the same page about your goals. And you can do that at your favorite park. You could do it on a walk. There's a million ways that you can build fun in. All you have to do is look for them. All right. This fourth section of fun, everyday life, y'all. Fun doesn't have to be expensive, like I said before. It can be that simple walk in nature, that dance party at home. I know a couple of weeks ago, as I said, I was at a women's retreat and summit, and I was also on the ambassador team for that, so helped plan. So as much as I was participating in the activities, I was also helping making sure everything happened. The last night we were there, again, exhausted, worn out, and there were 4 of us in one room together. My friend Pearl, who runs the program, the retreat, and we were just all decompressing, chatting. And it was probably 12 or 12:30 at night. And she was starting to doze off. And she goes, y'all just enjoy chit-chatting and continuing to talk as long as you want. If I doze off, don't mind me. And I looked at her and I said, okay. And then I pulled up my pump up music playlist on my phone and I just started playing a song and I said, everybody on the bed, we're going to have a jump on the bed dance party right now. Now she was dozing off and she literally popped her eyes open, but she jumped up and the four of us jumped up and down, dancing on that bed, having the best time, literally in the middle of the night when we were exhausted. Like I said, find those little ways to push fun into whatever is happening. What about trying a new recipe? I think this time of year is perfect for that. You're coming up on the holidays. When I grew up, my mom would bake like crazy all through the fall, all through December. And we were constantly giving, banana nut bread or chocolate bread. I don't remember what she called it. All different kinds of like yummy breads. She would make homemade bread and give it away. She would bake like crazy during the holidays and put together these fun little gift packs to give to all the neighbors full of yummy little treats. And my mom and dad were not in a position they could have bought gifts for all those people, but it was the time that went into it that mattered to people. But if you've got kiddos that love baking and doing things, get out a fun new cookie recipe or even a really simple little thing that y'all can make together and just enjoy some time doing that. Plan a game night with friends. Listen, everybody loves to have a Halloween party. If you're one of those people, just plan a Halloween game night with your friends, like the weekend before or something, and just enjoy that time, having some laughs and spending some time. 81% of people say fun moments recharge them more than rest does, more than scrolling social media for sure, because a lot of the time social media does nothing but stress us out. So I want you to think about, especially this time of year, again, coming up on the holidays, there can be a lot of stress and overwhelm with that. So plug in some fun moments. As a matter of fact, my challenge on this one is to create a fun bucket list for fall. Write down 5 things. Here's some ideas: apple picking, leaf watching, game night, pumpkin carving, a football tailgate. As a matter of fact, if you have a lot of leaves in your yard, one of the things I loved to do as a kid is when my dad would rake the yard before he'd bag all the leaves to put out on the corner for the trash man, he would rake them into a huge pile, and my friends and I would jump into the leaves. And there was so much joy in that. And then we would help rake them back into a pile and hold the bags so he could bag them all. It doesn't take a lot. Just spend a few minutes and think about what are some amazing things that I could do to create fun this year during the fall. All right, as we wrap this episode up, I've got my hot take for fall. Listen, I talked a couple weeks about how much I love pumpkin spice and that I think you should be able to get it all year round. But right now we're calling forget pumpkin spice. The real MVP of fall is the colors. Watching the leaves change is a free event and can be better than Netflix, in my opinion, especially if you live anywhere around the mountains. Right now, if you're in cooler climates, the colors are amazing where you're at. Yeah, I would give just about anything right now to be able to jump in a car and drive up the canyons around the Salt Lake Valley because it's cooler up there and those colors are changing. Down here in Texas, it takes a little bit longer, but y'all, the colors of fall are just mesmerizing. So make sure you take a little time to give some credit to Mother Nature for the change she makes in the environment around us and the beauty that exists there. Spending just 20 minutes in nature reduces your cortisol by up to 21%. So make it a ritual. Grab some coffee, go on a drive, or walk where the trees are the brightest, and just let the fall colors remind you that change can absolutely be beautiful. I want you guys to message me on the show, DM me on my social media. You can find me under Natalie McPhee Natalie McPhee Kime on Instagram, of course, but DM me or message the show through the show notes and let me know what is your favorite fun fall tradition or post a picture of your fun purchase. I would love to see what you're doing with the information I shared in this week's episode. And if today's conversation is causing you to look for new ways to have fun in your life and helping you remember how important it is to incorporate fun in your life, please don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with a friend who needs it. And if you want more of my content, please go follow me on Substack. It's under Chat with Nat, and I share a lot of other information there, additional content you can tap into. But I'd love to have you subscribe and follow along there. And as always, thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode. Until next week, remember to focus on your 5 F's: faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun, and make sure you make time for joy. I'll see you again next week.